their strong family bonds and deeply rooted cultural traditions, the Bhatias became an integral part of their local community, earning admiration for their humility and sense of responsibility. At the center of the family was Narayani Devi, the 77-year-old matriarch revered as the guiding figure. Narayani had 3 children, 2 sons, Bhavnesh and Lalit, and a daughter, Pritibha. Over the years, the family expanded as Narayani's children married and had their children. The Bhatia household ultimately comprised 11 members spanning 3 generations. This included Narayani's sons and their wives, her daughter, and 5 grandchildren, the youngest being only 15 years old. They all lived together under one roof in their modest yet comfortable home in Burari. The Bhatia's financial stability came from their small grocery store and plywood business, both run by the family. These ventures allowed them to maintain a comfortable lifestyle while keeping them engaged in the local economy. Despite their success, the family lived modestly, avoiding extravagance and maintaining a reputation for humility. Their work ethic and dedication to their businesses earned them respect among neighbors and customers alike. Another defining characteristic of the Bhatia family was their devout religious practices. They were strict followers of Hinduism and adhered to daily rituals and prayers. The family's spiritual practices were deeply ingrained in their lives, and they believed in maintaining a harmonious balance between their faith and worldly responsibilities. Their dedication to religion was evident in their regular observances of festivals, pujas, and other sacred ceremonies. For this family, religion was not merely a practice, but a way of life that guided their decisions and actions. However, the dynamics within the family began to change following a series of personal and professional challenges. Lalit Bhatia, the younger son, emerged as a central figure in these transformations. Lalit's life had been marked by significant hardships, including a traumatic incident where he narrowly escaped death during a robbery at his previous workplace. This experience left him deeply shaken, and he reportedly became more introverted and contemplative. Another turning point in Lalit's life was the death of his father, Bhopal Singh, over a decade prior. The loss deeply affected the family, particularly Lalit, who developed a belief that his father's spirit continued to guide him. Over time, Lalit began to take on a leadership role within the household, offering advice and direction to the family that the family appeared to follow without question. Neighbors and acquaintances noted that the Bhatia seemed to place significant trust in Lalit's decisions, viewing him as a stabilizing force. Despite these changes, the family maintained an outward appearance of normalcy. They continued to run their businesses efficiently and remained active in their community. Their grocery store, which catered to the daily needs of the neighborhood, became a hub for social interactions, further neighbors observed that the family had become more reserved and less socially active. While they continued to greet people warmly and maintained a presence in the community, their interactions grew less frequent. Some attributed this to their growing focus on religious observances, as their rituals and prayers became increasingly elaborate and frequent. Lilith's influence within the family also became more pronounced during this time. He reportedly began sharing what he claimed were messages and instructions from his late father's spirit. These messages, which Lily often recorded in handwritten notes, emphasized discipline, unity, and adherence to spiritual practices. The family embraced these teachings wholeheartedly, incorporating them into their daily lives. While these behaviors might have seemed unusual to outsiders, they were largely viewed as expressions of the family's devout nature rather than cause for concern. The family's devotion to religious rituals became a defining aspect of their identity. They were known to perform elaborate ceremonies at home, often involving all members of the household. These rituals were seen as a way to seek blessings, maintain harmony, and ensure prosperity. For the Bhatias, spirituality was intertwined with their sense of purpose and direction. Neighbors and relatives who visited the Bhatias during this period noted that the family seemed content and happy. They celebrated festivals and decorated their home and invited others to join them. There were no outward signs of distress or discourse within the household. In retrospect, the events leading up to the case reveal a complex interplay of faith, family dynamics, and individual experiences. The Bhatia's background provides a glimpse into a household deeply rooted in tradition, driven by a shared sense of purpose, and shaped by the influence of its members. Their story serves as a reminder of the intricate layers that often lie beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. On the morning of July 1st, 2018, the quiet neighborhood of Barari in Delhi awoke to a shocking and horrifying discovery. The Bhatia family was all found dead in their home under circumstances that left both neighbors and authorities bewildered. This tragic event would soon capture the attention of the entire nation. The discovery was made by a neighbor, Gurcharan Singh, who ran a nearby dairy shop. Around 7:15 a.m., he went to the Bhatia's house to deliver milk, as he did most mornings. However, on this particular day, he noticed that the family's grocery store, which usually opened early, was still shut. Curious and slightly concerned, Gurcharan decided to check their home. The main door was unlocked, which was unusual but not immediately alarming. As he stepped inside, he was confronted with a disturbing scene that would forever haunt him. In the central hall of the home, 10 members of the Bhatia family were found hanging from an iron grill attached to the ceiling. They were suspended by colorful dupattas, which are scarves, and chunris, which are traditional stoles, arranged in circular formation. The bodies were blindfolded, their mouths gagged with cloth, and their hands and feet tied. To add to the strangeness of the scene, chaos and shock, someone called the police, who arrived shortly after. As the authorities began their investigation, they discovered the body of the 11th family member, Narayani Devi, in an adjacent room. Unlike the others, she was not hanging, but was found lying on her bed. Her body showed signs of asphyxiation, indicating that she had been strangled. The contrasting position of her body raised further questions about what had transpired in the household. As the news spread, more neighbors and curious onlookers gathered outside the Bhatia residence. Once a hub of activity and warmth, the house was now a center of a grim spectacle. The police cordoned off the area and began documenting the scene, which they described as both unsettling and perplexing. There were no signs of forced entry, suggesting that whoever was involved was either a family member or someone trusted by the family. During the initial inspection, investigators found several handwritten notes in the house, which would later provide crucial insight into the incident. The notes detailed a series of rituals and instructions written in a diary-like format that appeared to have been followed by the family in the days leading up to their deaths. The writings, believed to have been authored by Lalit Bhatia, referred to a spiritual practice aimed at attaining salvation and pleasing their deceased patriarch, Bhopal Singh. Lalit reportedly claimed to be receiving messages from his late father's spirit, guiding the family through these rituals. These notes would soon become central to the investigation, shedding light on the psychological state of the family and the events that culminated in the tragedy. The autopsies conducted on the bodies revealed that the primary cause of death for the 10 members found hanging was asphyxia due to ante-mortem hanging, meaning they were alive at the time of suspension. Narayani's death, on the other hand, was caused by manual strangulation. There were no external injuries on any of the bodies, ruling out the involvement of external perpetrators. The absence of a struggle further supported the theory that the family willingly participated in the events leading up to their deaths. The police's examination of the house uncovered additional peculiar details. Stools and benches were arranged below the hanging bodies, suggesting they had been used to reach the grill on the ceiling. These items were neatly placed in the corner of the room, further emphasizing the organized nature of the act. The bindings on the family members' hands and feet were not tight enough to suggest coercion, leading investigators to believe they had tied themselves and or assisted each other in the process. The notes discovered at the scene indicated that the ritual was meant to be a collective prayer, with the family believing they would be saved at the last moment by divine intervention. One of the writings mentioned, quote, "The human body is temporary, and one must surrender it to achieve salvation," end quote. Another chilling note instructed the family to, quote, "keep water nearby for purification," end quote, which explained the presence of water bowls in the room. These details painted a picture of a family deeply entrenched in their beliefs, to the extent that they were willing to risk their lives for what they perceived insistence on performing elaborate rituals had reportedly gone unquestioned by the rest of the family. Further scrutiny of the handwritten notes revealed that the family had been preparing for this ritual for weeks, meticulously following instructions believed to have been dictated by Lilith's visions. The writings emphasized unity, trust, and obedience. The willingness of all members, including the younger ones, to participate suggested the extent of their faith and reliance on Lilith's spiritual guidance. The tragic deaths of the Bhatia family in Bihari on July 1st, 2018, sparked widespread speculation and debate, leading to the emergence of various theories attempting to explain the circumstances of their deaths. While the police investigation concluded that the family's deaths were a result of a mass suicide driven by shared delusions, the unique and unsettling nature of the case has fueled alternative interpretations. I'm now going to go through an exploration of the leading theories surrounding the case. So for the first one, we'll do the mass suicide and shared psychosis theory. The primary theory put forth by investigators is that the Bhatia family's deaths were a result of mass suicide caused by a psychological phenomenon known as shared psychosis. In this scenario, Lilith is believed to have played the dominant role. Following the traumatic loss of his father, Lilith reportedly began experiencing visions and believed he could communicate with the dead. Over time, Lilith's influence over the family grew as he claimed to receive divine instructions from his father. organizations or individuals with occult ties. The next theory is foul play and murder. Initially, the shocking scene led to speculation that their deaths were a result of foul play. Neighbors and relatives found it difficult to believe that a family known for their unity and stability could collectively decide to end their lives. The arrangement of the bodies and the presence of Narayani Devi's strangled body in a separate room raised questions about whether the family had been coerced or manipulated by an outsider. One theory suggests that a family member, possibly Lalit, orchestrated the deaths and murdered those who were unwilling to participate. However, the autopsies revealed no signs of struggle or external injuries, and the bindings on the family members' hands and feet were loose enough to suggest voluntary participation. Furthermore, the handwritten notes indicated a collaborative effort in preparing for the ritual, weakening the argument for foul play. Another angle proposed the involvement of an outsider who exploited the family's beliefs for personal motives. However, the lack of forced entry, stolen valuables, or forensic evidence of a third party's presence led investigators to rule out this possibility. The next theory is social and cultural pressures. Some sociologists and cultural analysts have argued that the Bhatia family's deaths could be understood through the lens of social and cultural pressures. As a traditional Indian family living in a patriarchal and hierarchical structure, the Bhatias may have faced unspoken expectations to maintain obedience and adherence to family traditions. These dynamics might have made it difficult for individual members to resist Lalit's increasingly authoritarian behavior or challenge the spiritual practices he introduced. This theory emphasizes the role of cultural conditioning in fostering compliance and groupthink. In a context where questioning authority within the family is often discouraged, the Bhatia's willingness to participate in the ritual could reflect their deep-seated values of trust and loyalty. However, this explanation does not fully account for the specific psychological or spiritual motivations that drove the family to their deaths. The next theory is mental health crisis. So, another widely discussed theory focuses on the possibility of an undiagnosed mental health crisis within the family. Lalit's trauma from past events, including his near-death experience during a robbery and the loss of his father, may have triggered psychotic symptoms such as hallucinations and delusions. Over time, his mental health issues may have gone unnoticed or unaddressed due to the stigma surrounding mental illness in Indian society. The family's unwavering belief in Lalit's visions suggests a lack of critical intervention, possibly due to limited awareness of mental health. The absence of external support or guidance might have compounded the situation, leading to the escalation of delusional beliefs. The last theory we're going to discuss today is spiritual salvation gone wrong. A more nuanced interpretation of the case views the Bhatia's deaths as a tragic outcome of their quest for spiritual salvation. The notes left behind essential for